but that group needs to have a Vladdy Guerrero type playoff performance. Okay, that's really so. If Austin Matthews scores 15 goals and plays like Vladdy has so far in the playoffs, I'd be happy. But I think the going for 70 and all those things, that was fun. But it's the other components need to come together. I gotta believe he's healthy. It was a quiet night, to your point. It wasn't like a kick-ass season for him last year. So I'm gonna sit back and try to see what gives.
Okay, if he gets 15, they ain't getting in the playoffs. You know that, right?
15, and then he's hurt for 60 games. Okay, I don't know. No, I'm not calling for that. Okay, yeah, if they get 15 goals, good point, Kippy. We didn't do very good at that. That would be a basic question that would have got us 51 at George Van Dijk.
So, a lot of people are kind of holding their breath waiting to see what this team is. Do you think there needs to be a trade still, like that top six we're talking about? Can Cowan become a guy this year that plays real minutes for this team, or is there still a shoe that needs to drop for them to be a real contender?
Oh, and by the way, to answer the Easton Cowan question, Justin, I'm really big on him. That whole World Junior team got the crap kicked out of them after the juniors. Like, it really did. They really unfairly got maligned, about, can these guys play or not? So I've been big on him, and I'm going back being big on him. So, so the other part, what was your question again? I was talking about
just do they need to make a trade for the top six? Do they need to add something, or are they good enough? Could Cowan be that guy? Can they be good enough internally?
In my defense, Justin, I just had my last rabies vaccine last Saturday. The infamous raccoon bite that I had about a month ago.
You had a raccoon bite? What?
Honest to God, yes, I got bit by a raccoon.
No way.
How the hell did that happen?
Well, it kind of goosed me in the back, on leg. So I went to North York General at 3:30 in the morning, and they called Toronto Public Health. And it's kind of like Elaine about being sponge-worthy. There's not a lot of this vaccine to go around. So anyway, I had to take about 5 shots. And it's crazy now. Like, I don't sit on a fence anymore. I leap over them. My neighbor caught me in their garbage bin. There's been a lot of side effects. But I have been the only guy on your show ever who just completed 5 rabies vaccines. So there.
Change your moisturizer.
Our very own Trash Panda. This is amazing.
So the trade. Okay, the trade. Okay, again, Nick Foligno, Ryan O'Reilly. No. But it's different if Brad Marchand's available or Seth Jones or something like that.
Yeah.
You want to get guys with term. So even though Fraser Minton looks like he's playing well, could play well with Boston. At least Carlo had term, McCabe had term, Lawton had term. So I'm more of that, not the hired gun thing. But yes, you have a little bit more flexibility. Not the kind of money people think, but without Mitch Marner's contract. So I think Connor McDavid said that to the Edmonton Oilers. Like, everybody's looking that if you can do what Florida did last year, like real trades, not cosmetic ones at the trade deadline, that you want to be in that big poker table.
You're watching and listening to Gord Stellick, who's foaming at the mouth as we speak. Hot heavy on the Toronto Maple Leafs. A good sign, I guess. Wednesday is Stolarz has kind of picked up where he left off in terms of a consistent look of making some key saves at the right time for this hockey club. Outside of what it means moving forward with no Joseph Woll, but your overall assessment of where we thought the Leafs goaltending was prior to the season starting and where it is today.
First of all, how about Brad Treliving, John Tavares, Matthew Nyes, Anthony Stolarz, those contracts? And how about Anthony Stolarz saying the grass isn't greener on the other side? He kind of did a Connor McDavid. And Kippy, what I like, and Justin, because you guys played the game, and I always, when I talk about goaltenders, I talk about their deportment. And that's where Freddie was very cool. I like Freddie being cool. Jack Campbell, you were cheering for, but it looked like he'd won a silent auction item every game to be goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, it was thrill of a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, so, and they were the ups and downs and that. So I've liked Stolar's makeup. And I like the fact that he legitimately sees the brass ring as a real solid backup in Florida and then getting a crack as a number one. So obviously depth is still, you got to be deep in goal. I have no idea about the Joe Woll situation. I don't think you do. Maybe you do. I don't care about the situation. I more mean about his availability and timing to come back. But I'm really bullish on Anthony Stolarz, and if that tandem is in sync and back, like we're going back to, God rest his soul, Bernie Parent and Jacques Plante before you guys were born, but in the 1970s, about having like a real elite goaltending tandem at the same time on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And I think goaltender for the Leafs, they have some advantage that this Leafs decor may not be offensively, I don't want to say gifted because there's some skill there, but they just don't play that way. But what a great solid decor in terms of veteran experience and shot blocking, whatever. It's a very playoff built decor, it feels like to me.
I'm trying to remember how many years ago it was that I remember there was a play and there were two Leafs behind the opposing team's net, and they were Morgan Riley and Jake Gardner. And they kind of looked at each other and said, what, aren't you back? Aren't you flying the plane? Isn't one of us supposed to be flying the plane?
Right.
You know? And so that kind of embodied the kind of support the goaltender was getting at the other end. So the kind of things, and you know, they did it against Ottawa last year, and they did it for the first part against Florida. Like they played their best style of playoff hockey. Well, they got deeper in 23 years than they ever have. But I mean, because of those two games in particular, we kind of forget about that. But part of it, Justin, was that style and paying attention to it and committing to it. And I like that Craig Berube just says, you're not going to say a lot of things except there's a few non-negotiables, okay? And non-negotiable means non-negotiable. And the team knows there's a few non-negotiables. Otherwise, you can freelance, trying to allow skilled players be skilled players, whatever it may be, but there are some non-negotiables in the Craig Berube team style.
Gord, only a couple of games into a long season, or, you know, if you don't get off to a great start, the season could shorten up real quick here. But just quickly, in terms of what you've seen so far, Florida, no Barkov, no Tkachuk, and they seem to kind of pick up where they left off last year, playing this stingy game. Tampa Bay, we all had, is still a very dangerous team, but somehow, some way, you know, blowing leads like they did last night makes them a little bit more vulnerable. How do you see the Atlantic shaping up with the Leafs and being in a position once again to sit at top after 82 games are closed out?
Yeah, and how about Boston kind of giving early signs that they're not going away? And man, Detroit and Buffalo, you want to have the definition of sad starts by teams that didn't need sad starts.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, like last year, I thought coming first was really important. And I'm not saying it's not important this year. I thought it was to prove something, to do something, to get home ice advantage, which until those final two games, they kind of did. They kind of did use to their advantage. So I'm a little bit about, okay, it's going to come down to game number 83. More so for Florida. If they don't have Barkov, man, oh man, that guy blanketing whoever your best player is and still getting some offense, you know, that's going to be a big loss. But I'm the Atlantic, man, I'm like, first of all, way better than the Metropolitan. There'll be 5 teams that come out of it. I thought at the end of last year, the Tampa Bay Lightning were the best team the last 20 games. I thought the first 60 games, it was the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then when the playoffs rolled around, the Florida Panthers said, okay, move away, guys, move away. It is us once again, and they steamrolled over everybody. So they're not going to do it for 82 games. Okay, but, you know, if they're going to do that in the playoffs again, I think Tampa Bay gave an early indication with those 2 exhibition games that, okay, we're going to give a little bit of steam back. And I think Toronto also knows that and what have you. But I just think I don't think coming first has to be the utmost priority for the Maple Leafs, but I see all those teams in it. And if one of them to fall, like heaven forbid the Leafs or like Tampa